Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to talk about the book, The One Thing. Now, this is all about understanding how to focus. And one of the big things I want to talk about in there is how, one of the things it says in there is about how multitasking, that word, it comes from computers switching tasks so quickly that it looks like it's doing multiple tasks at once, when really, it is just switching tasks continuously. So, it basically wants to explain how multitasking is, in their words, a lie. Where what I wanted to talk about is just understanding more about focusing on the fact of how people can get distracted quite easily by trying to focus on too many things at once. Basically, spreading yourself out too thinly means that you, instead of getting something done, or a little bit of everything done, you end up getting nothing done. So the one thing is about focusing on one thing and having deliberate focus on that one thing to the point where you really embody it, till you become great at it, till it becomes you're so focused on it that it becomes undeniable that you know it. See, when it comes to focus and things like that and distractions, a 15-minute distraction can take roughly 15 minutes again to refocus. So that whole process took 30 minutes. So that is why it's so important to be focused, because in between you switching tasks, for example, you might find a distraction comes up. With that distraction then, what will happen is that 15 minutes that you spend on that distraction, you then spend another 15 minutes getting back on track, getting back in the swing of things, and then you do it for a little bit only to get distracted again. So these distractions can really compound very quickly. And what it talks about is that, so the idea is to minimize that by having only one thing you focus on. And what it talked about is that because willpower is like a battery, because willpower is something that will deplete, it's not just something that just maintains the whole time. You've basically got to decide to commit a minimum, or limit yourself really, to about 4 hours a day on one thing. One thing you're going to focus on for that day, cap it at about 4 hours, no more, ideally no less, and then decide to switch on to something else if you want to. The idea is that then you're putting all of your willpower into focusing on that one thing, instead of switching, and then each time you switch there's a bit of discipline, a bit of distraction that happens. You have to discipline yourself into coming back on track. That willpower to get refocused again depletes it faster and faster. As opposed to spending that 4 hours on deliberate focus on that one task, completing that one task, then moving on to something else, means you'll be more efficient, more productive, and all around achieve more, bring more happiness into your life, purely because you applied this different style, this different form of thinking. So a part of that same topic is you've got to have a focused environment. You have to have an environment that doesn't allow you, that minimizes your chances of being distracted. Ideally, it eliminates them completely. But at the very best, you can have an environment that's going to, at the very least, help you minimize those distractions, because we all have them, no matter where we are. But the idea is to create an environment, or find an environment where you can be as focused as possible. Spend that 4 hours on deliberate practice or deliberate focus on whatever it is that topic may be. Then combining those two means you get the most, you'll maximize your performance, you'll maximize your practice, or you'll maximize what you're going to get out of that time that you spend there on that one thing. And then understanding that that one thing that you're focusing on, that 4 hours, you can spend that reading, watching, learning, writing, testing, whatever it may be about that topic. But it's that 4 hours is all about things to do with that topic specifically. See, so understanding that where people make that mistake of trying to do too many things at once, they try to cram so much into their day that they're constantly switching in between tasks. And the time that they switch, not only is there the time that you end one task and start another one, there's a little bit of willpower that goes into that one. In between that transitional time, there's a chance or opportunity for you to get distracted. Let's say you get distracted with something small, something little, I'll just go do this for a little bit, and I'll get back on track. In that period of time, you can spend basically the same amount of time you spent doing something else. You'll spend that same amount of time refocusing, regaining focus. Then there's also the willpower again to decide to stop doing your distraction and start on whatever your new task is. So you can become depleted very, very quickly. So the idea behind the one thing is that to maximize your performance, to become as focused as you can be and be as productive and get the most out of whatever it is you're doing, you need to isolate yourself in sort of an area that's in a focused environment. Spend no more than 4 hours on that one thing, but ideally no less, and make sure that during that 4 hours, it's deliberate practice. It's deliberate focus on that one thing. You're reading about it, you're watching it, you're writing about it, you're learning about it, you're testing things that to do with it. You're not doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, switching between them. You're focused on that one thing. Where a lot of people make the mistake of thinking like, I'll just like do this until I get bored and try something else and do that one. The problem with that, with willpower being like a battery, you're going to deplete yourself much, much quicker, much, much faster in between the switching of the tasks. A bit like how they say that, like, when a car, for example, uses more fuel driving around a city than it does on a highway, it's because of that constant stop-start. So if you treat your willpower the same way and your ability to focus the same way, it's like focusing on one thing is just being on the highway. You've got point A to point B, and you're going to get to that destination in a period of time, 4 hours. When you're trying to do things normally, you're driving around a city, and you might spend like, you'll go to here and there, and you get a traffic light, and you'll get a zebra crossing, and you'll get like, somebody pulling out, and you'll have somebody will slow down. So that stop, start, slow down, all these different speeds that you're traveling at means you use up more fuel faster. You get to, before you even get to the destination, you have far less fuel available, far less energy available than what you would have if you're on the highway, because you're just going at the one speed. You might slow down a little bit, but nothing major or a complete stop. But you get there, you spend that 4 hours, and you'll make far more progress, and you'll get far further and have far more energy left over than if you're driving around the city, where you're stopping and starting, and traffic lights and people and cars and all these other things happening. And think about that same process, how much easier it is to focus on the highway when there's far less distractions, as opposed to the city, when you've got so much happening, so many things coming on. Your environment is very busy, lots of things potentially getting in your way, distracting you. That's a great analogy, a great example of the difference in trying to focus in an environment that isn't minimizing your distractions. It's having a lot of those distractions available, as opposed to an environment that's purposefully designed or purposefully built or created around being focused on your one thing. With that analogy as well, I can explain and understand how difficult it is to be doing two things at once. You are ideally switching between multiple things as you're driving through a city. When you're on the highway, you are just focused on that one thing. That is where you're able to be more productive, use less energy unnecessarily, and get more done, achieve more in that same amount of time. So understanding all that, taking that into account, now you've got more tools to better equip you to become more productive, for you to be able to do more with less, because your dedicated time towards what you're focused on is going to be far more productive, and you're going to get far more out of it because you've created a system that you can follow, preventing you from getting distracted and maximizing the results you're going to get out of what you've decided to do. So taking that all into account, you now have you can now feel more confident that you're going to be able to find ways to be able to be more productive, be able to be more effective in whatever it is you decide to do, because you're deciding to commit to and subscribe to that idea, mentality, or mindset of doing that one thing. Now, understanding also that not to get confused with, remember that like that one thing can be a mixture of different things, or it can be, you might just be reading about that one thing. You could be reading and watching about that one thing. You could be reading, watching, learning, and testing about that one thing. It is a combination, and you're going to need to find out what works best for you, and also subjectively base it on the topic that you're talking about as well. The point of it is that each part of it is always dedicated or focused on that one thing. It's not, I'm going to read a little bit about this, and then watch a little bit of something about a different topic, and then learn a little bit about another topic, and then test something in a new topic. It's the one topic, different avenues you're taking around that one topic. So you're reading about that one topic, you're watching about that one topic, learning about that one topic, testing around that one topic, and that is how you can maximize your results with that topic. You can be more effective about that topic, and you can get the most out of your time, what they spend on that topic. And that's what we're talking about with the one thing. So to summarize quickly, I was talking about how basically multitasking isn't something humans can naturally do. It's something that comes from computers, and even they are multitasking. They're just switching tasks so quickly, it looks like they're doing multiple tasks at once. But that is near impossible for humans to do, and is undeniably far more taxing and far more energy depleting than focusing on one thing. Understanding also that humans have, when they have come up with, say, a 15-minute distraction, it can take roughly about another 15 minutes again to regain focus on that single task they had before. Understanding also that willpower is like a battery, that anything that you do requires energy, and that including switching or transitioning in between different tasks. So taking that into account, you should be putting as much of that energy, of that willpower, into that one task, and instead of spending more of that energy switching between tasks. You need to focus on one thing at a time and get really good at that one thing and then move on. Not a little bit good at this, a little bit good at that, a little bit good. Don't be a jack of all trades. Be a master of one. Then move on to the next one. Become a master in that. Then move on to the next one. That is how you'll be more effective and more focused. Limit yourself to about 4 hours a day focusing on that one thing. And not 4 hours of a mixture of things. 4 hours of just that one thing and then move on to a new task. Understand that you need to have a focused environment. Minimize your distractions. Eliminate them completely if you can. This is the way to be the most effective in understanding what you're doing. And understand during that 4 hours, it can be a mixture of multiple things. Reading, writing, learning, testing, but solely about that one topic. Now, we'll be making a lot more of these videos for this training series. And it's all to help you with your personal development goals. Now, that's all for now. But until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most and look forward to sharing more with you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.